So can we welcome John? Yeah. Come on, let's welcome John. Amen.
All righty. Well, I was hoping for a little bit more from Pastor Keith before he goes away too far to help better frame this conversation in the context of everyone here and of this church. I will do my best, but I guess he's not coming back, so it's all on me. That's fine. So I'm John McKeon. I run a business locally. This is a topic that I am familiar with. Kenda will actually be our main speaker for emergency preparedness. This is what she does for, I wouldn't say for a living, but you've done a few, it's her life, so there we go. My own expertise, if I could say that, is with threats and vulnerability to the power grid, which is a subset of emergency preparedness. I'm actually the Washington rep for the Task Force on National and Homeland Security. It's also the MP Task Force on National and Homeland Security. This is a piece that I wrote. It's my contribution nationally. I wrote it maybe 5-6 years ago and updated at least once a year. It's on several websites, including securethegrid.com and emptaskforce.us. My name is not on it, though, intentionally, because I really felt it was taking a lot of information from other sources, people who, like Kenda, live, breathe, everything about the power grid and the vulnerabilities. I just synthesized all their stuff and tried to put it together. Lots of footnotes. I've read all of the stuff on the footnotes. If we had, a day or two, we certainly can get deep into that. But if you do have questions on our power grid and that type of thing, feel free to hit me up offline. There are copies in the back. If they run out, there's the websites where you can find it as well. I would say my main things, I wanted to just say a few kind of summary type thoughts. And when I started this research, part of my background, I do have a master's degree in nuclear engineering, and I was a submarine trained engineer on submarines back when I was in the Navy. So I qualified for an engineer. I wasn't actually the engineer, but that could have been a next step. And when I did a lot of this reading and understanding and trying to put it together, I think what's really important when we have a conversation on emergency preparedness is to not go down the rabbit hole of fear. Preparation without God is a life living in fear and a life bereft of joy. But I do think that God is calling us. He's asking us to be better prepared. If we look at the world around us, COVID, who would have thought that the government would have intentionally shut down churches in the land of the free and the home of the brave? We just came back from a trip, and Thursday night, did anybody else get caught in that traffic jam called I-5? Yes, there was an officer-involved shooting. Based on the videos that I saw, it was probably very justified. But the major road, north-south, shut down for 8 hours. As we sat there in traffic for a couple hours, we got lucky, it was only a couple hours. I really thought, well, this is a great conversation about sheltering in place. What happens if you lose a bridge? We keep talking about one of the things on preparedness is that big earthquake. Yeah, people aren't going anywhere. If you think you're going someplace, think back on the last time I-5 was shut down. I do think God is calling and asking us to be better prepared. We talk about Joseph. Joseph had a dream. Hey, we should store up some grain. Probably be a good idea in case a famine showed up. when I look at this conversation, I really think it boils down to a few things. God is asking us to be better prepared, but he's not asking us to live in fear. We should do what we can do within our own individual capabilities. For a lot of folks, just getting one more week of food and water in their home is a big deal. For other folks, having a year or two of food and water and a bunch of stuff and making their homestead available to a few other folks is within their capabilities. We are much stronger together than we are individually. We are much stronger together. When you talk about preparedness and that type of thing, you know, that one person sitting in their bunker with 100 guns and 10,000 MREs is still one person. You're much better with a group of people. We were talking about, if you feel stuck, find your right people. Get in the right place with them, and you'll find your purpose. I heard that from some really awesome speaker recently. We are much stronger together with other people and with the church. We got some things here. We're working on it. I look at preparedness as that 0 to 10 scale. Most churches and people are between a 0 and a 1. We may be able to have food and things for a few days. 10 is like, you know, God better be coming now because it's down. But can we bring ourselves from a 0 to a 1? Like I said, do what you can do within your own capabilities. Can you take your 1 that you're at now and bring it to a 2? I would say this is about, you know, when you're thinking about emergency preparedness, you want to continue to focus your life serving God and serving others. At the same time, while you're living your life, your best life, you want to be aware. Be aware of what's going on around us. And not be afraid of this, but be aware. When we're talking about safety and security, that's the team I'm on, it's called situational awareness. It's not good to be in condition white. Condition white is, you know, I have no concept of what's going on around me. There's probably somebody about to mug me because I'm the person who's not aware. We do need to be aware because there's a lot going on. The devil is doing a bunch of stuff. The world's doing a bunch of stuff. That's called condition yellow, just being aware of where you're at. Be aware, not be afraid. We need to be in that process of becoming better prepared, getting off from 0 to 1 to 1 to 2. And we need to be seeking God's calling and His word and His direction in all of this. Without further ado, let me turn it over to Kenda to talk more deeper into the emergency preparedness conversation in BIG. We've done a lot of seminars in my world, and it's more interesting when it's interactive. So if you say something pretty awesome, I might jump in and help out, or not help, but maybe add some context. And if I don't need to do that, I can just sit back and relax and enjoy the show.
Perfect. Yeah, you're on. Oh, yeah, it's on. Okay. All right. Well, all of a sudden my phone's doing something funny. Did everyone get one of these flyers? Okay. I'm going to be teaching out of that a little bit, but for those of you who are ready to throw your plate away, go ahead and look on the bottom, and some of you have a star. Okay. For all you stars at the end, I have a whole bunch of goodies to give you, okay? You get an extra special goodie. Also out on the table, if you think that this might not be as exciting as you thought it would be, you can always go out and get one of these squishies and sit and play with it. The other thing is there are pens. If you don't have one and want to grab one, there's pens out there too. I'll be going over all of the material that's on the table, but I'm mostly going to stick to this just as basic. Don't we want to just keep it basic and simple? It's not about fear. It's about going from 0 to 1, or 1 to 2, or wherever you are on that scale, just moving it up one notch. So in the Bible, they talked about Jesus feeding the 5,000 people with just a few fish and loaves. And so God can't multiply nothing. He can provide, but he asks us to do a little. And if we can do our part and do just a little, he can multiply it, just like that little boy's lunch. And so that's what we're going to try to work towards today. Hopefully we have a lot of business owners in here. If you're not, that's okay, but I'm going to kind of gear towards business, home, business, and the third place is your car, right? How many of us get stuck in our car in traffic? Don't we love Northwest traffic? So, especially if you have special needs in your daily life, you need to be prepared for that, because a few years ago, again, right under the bridge at 41st, they had a shooting. A guy out on the freeway just shooting random. And he was shooting on both sides of the freeway, and it was locked down for 3 hours. No potty, no water, no food, nothing. If you had air conditioning and it was a hot summer day, it was a pretty miserable time. A quick story is a few cars up right in front of 41st, where they ended up stopping the traffic, there was a water truck. And so he called his boss and said, hey, can we hand out bottled water? And so they did. To everybody they could reach on both sides of the freeway, they got bottled water. But that's the kind of stuff that you need to think about. Don't leave bottled water in the sunshine in your car. It just leaches and it's gross and it leaks out and all that. But you could throw a couple bottles under the seat or in a trunk or something like that. Okay, so it's as simple as the very first page. Make a plan, build a kit, stay informed, and get involved. Now we want to be involved. For the business owners, I might say that 1/3 of people's lives are usually at business. You're at work. So not only what is the business owner going to do, but what are you going to do as an employee if you're the employee? You need to have like a little bag, a little backpack or something in your bottom drawer under your desk, and keep in there some basic, simple supplies that you will need. Have my little trusty bag here. And for the girls, don't forget, if you're of that age, you need to have that, right? I mean, it really is. It's hard to talk about, but you need to be ready. Or if you have children, be ready. So those are just some of the things. Water. I have my water here for me. But just a reminder, this is life. The bread of life is the Lord. We've got that. But without water, we cannot survive. We can survive without food. Many of us have a little extra to keep us going a lot longer. But for those that are skinny, you might need an extra snack. So, but you must have water. Must have water. So in your home or in your business, it is important to just find that closet, that empty place where nobody's using it, and keep an extra case of water. If you can have a case per person at home, that's even better. They say a gallon of water per day, per person. That's a lot of water. But you can do without by simple little things. Diaper wipes. Okay, a lot of us are way past diapers, but you got to have diaper wipes. You can wipe off plates, counters, even bodies. and do without that water temporarily if we're without water. So, you see the tree on the right-hand side. The roots to it all is resilience. And it's together we get that resilience. It's not each individual person. It's your neighborhood, it's your work, it's your church, it's your home. If you are a prepared person, how many people think that they're pretty prepared? Awesome. When you're prepared, here's where the fear comes in for a lot of people. Somebody's going to come take my stuff. Well, guess what? What a great opportunity to not only have extra, but teach your neighbors. If they're prepared, they don't need your stuff, right? The same with business. People come in, they're going to be starving or whatever, and if they're in your business, what are you going to do? You're just going to kick them out on the street? They're hungry, they're thirsty. Just have something. Very simple. In making a plan, one of the things that most businesses already have and homes need is a plan of where to meet. If you have to evacuate your home, fire, earthquake, something happens that you have to evacuate, you must have a meeting place. At home might be the mailbox. It might be, down the road. A specific place that everyone knows that that's where you're going to go. And so the same with your business. Your employees need to know, and then if you have customers that come in, the employees need to be instructed to help them know where to go. Take them with you as you exit. So the next important thing is out-of-area contacts. Does everybody know that when there's an emergency, everybody gets on the phone and starts chatting? Well, you can do over 1,000 texts in the same space of one phone call. So we want to teach people how to text their friends or family, and we have these out-of-area contacts. We have a whole sheet that you can do to keep for yourself, but you can have these for everybody in your family and also your out-of-area person. They fold just like a business card, and so it's very easy to just keep in your wallet. So the exact location that you're going to contact, the meeting place, if there's a fire, how to call for fire, 911 of course, but if there's anybody, your neighbors, anybody you need to call, it would be important for you to have that number there. Also, the name and phone number of your out-of-area contact. Out of area means completely out of our area, so not anywhere in Washington, unless it's somebody in Eastern Washington. They could be your out-of-area contact. Try not to have your out-of-area contact someone down the coast, because if we're experiencing something major, it might be experienced down the whole coast. So out of state is preferable. And then what you do is you teach your entire family. Uncle Joe in Minnesota is our contact, because I can't contact you and see if you broke your leg or if you're trapped under a bookcase. I try to call you and you can't answer me. So you can contact out of area and your phone is still going to work. They're going to shut down the power grid if they need to, but your cell phone is going to be able to call out of the area. So keeping it charged all the time is important. So if you have children, you can put this in their backpack so that when they're in school, they have a number that's the out-of-area contact. If the teacher can't get a hold of the parent, they can call this person. So everybody should have that. So you can take as many of these cards as you want. There's also a full list out on the table that you can keep track of it all on one page. But every single person that you know needs one of these cards. And I have plenty of them. So feel free to just grab as many as you need and then instill that plan. And that would go at work too, if you are someone that is a business, because this is about B153, right? We're all businesses. So in the middle pages, it talks about building a kit, and food, water, first aid, medical, tools, and supplies. Just some basic things there. And I would just encourage you that if you buy, okay, let's be real. How many of us want to eat dried beans and rice? No? Me either. So don't save that kind of food. Save the food you eat. If your family loves mac and cheese, it's not healthy, but if that's what's going to keep them calm in an emergency, you better have mac and cheese, you know? If you love canned fruit, just buy an extra case. Every time you go shopping, just a few more cans. Now, there's always space. I know it's crowded, but there's always space in the hall closet, okay? Just clean it out a little bit, and you can stack your cases there. But here's what we do. We oftentimes get ourselves prepared and put everything in away and never see it. Never touch it. And 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, 30 years go by, and it's still there. You're ready. But do you want to eat that? So get things you eat. Buy a case of peaches. And when that case is gone, you have an extra case in the closet. When you pull that one out, put a new one in the closet. So always just buy what you're eating. The same at work. Most people, this is coffee alleys, right? So we want to have some supply of caffeine because people like their coffee. It's also good to have a few things that you might want to barter with at home. You know, like not just things to trade, but services. Like I have a chainsaw, you have a shovel. You know, I need this moved off my truck, I need, you know. And so we work together. It's teamwork. A lot of this stuff, especially, is for home, but we incorporate a lot of it into business. I don't know if you dug into the snacks out there, but those are great kind of snacks. Nothing's chocolate, nothing's gonna melt. It's all stuff, I don't know, who doesn't like Cracker Jacks? You know? You can buy a case of Cracker Jacks. It's not that nutritious, but here's one thing I do know. This is why I brought the squishies, is when you're in an emergency, everybody's stressed out. And that could impact you too. Their stress can impact you. And so having some fun things, even these little guys, I've been playing with these. Just a plain old deck of cards. But on it, it's called Disaster Preparedness Playing Cards. There's enough for each of you to have one. And I've been playing. They have evacuation route after an earthquake, what to do. And it has all these pictures and just a little bit of a symbol about what to do. Weather safety and winter information. So you're going to learn something playing, you know, some rummy or something right here with your cards. There's a deck for everybody. So if you distract people, they just kind of lose sight of the crisis they're in. There's even coloring books. Adults can use them. It's a great story to tell your grandkids or your kids. And so there's this little guy on the books out there for the kids that are about what to do when you call 911, what happens. There's also some cards out there for parents or grandparents for what happens when you call 911 for a missing child. So that could be even for teenagers, not just small children. The one important thing, whether you are an employer or an employee or just someone at home, first aid, some basic first aid is always handy. Not just a Band-Aid, but you know, a few other things. You know, at Costco, you can buy a box of latex gloves. That's a great way to entertain kids. You blow them up, you got a turkey, and there you go. But some pain reliever, because, you know, you might have hurt yourself trying to move something off of something else. So one of the things that's vital important is attaching your furniture to the wall. Everybody has bookcases, even businesses, and we find that we think, okay, that's a nice heavy bookcase, the heavy books are on it. No, when there's an earthquake, sometimes it rolls, sometimes it shakes, sometimes it goes up and down, but the bookcase is going over, either way. And people can really get hurt. The other thing is the hot water tank. Pretty much everything is strapped down nowadays and has a pan under it. But should it break in an earthquake or just go out and give you a personal emergency right then and there and flood your house, that's an emergency. And you may have to move out of your house for a few days, few weeks, floors get replaced. It's really important to make sure that the heavy items are secured in your business and your home. All right, so it's great to be sure and help your neighbors. Talk to them about emergency preparedness. Not only it might be the first time they've really heard the basics, because everybody talks about the big earthquake. Well, it'll come. Might not be in our lifetime, but it will come. How many people saw Japan's 10 years ago? A 9.4. And the day before, I was teaching a class like this, a little longer than we're getting today, but I said, when the tectonic plates that are right off our coast shift, one will go under the other over the top, and it will create an over 9-point earthquake. That is the earthquake we will have. And it's going to be just like Japan. Unfortunately for Japan, it's mostly flat. So the water just kept going and going and going. 25 feet wall of water right over the island. And it was devastating to their whole country. We are fortunate that we mostly live 25 feet or more, unless you live on the bay, above the seawater. The seawater is going to mostly hit the coast, Forks and Quileute, and on down to Olympia area, you know. Forgot this. Aberdeen, that's what I was trying. Aberdeen, Hoquiam. Those people, I hope they have a plan, because there's no high spot. There's no place. And it will be on foot, because there will be no cars moving. But here, we do have high spots. And so we need to have an initial meeting spot, but maybe we have a subsequent meeting spot for family. Once we're safe out of our homes, if we have to be, then we have a meeting spot in Arlington or something. It doesn't have to be all the same, but just someplace that's higher than 25 to 50 feet, which is here, right here is fine. How many people, and even at work, bring their pets? Everybody's a pet lover. Whether you have a dog or a cat, there's lots of flyers and stuff out there about some basics that you need for your pet. So, of course, a carrying case, water, food, a bowl, and a waste container. Most hotels or public shelters don't allow pets. So there's very few places. One thing around here, if you have farm animals or you have some sort of pet that you can't shelter, you can always, if you can get there, Monroe Fairgrounds has free shelter. So that's always good. And they like you to take a picture. This is a great thing. Take a picture of you with your pet and then mark your pet good. You can even take some spray paint or a Sharpie and write on their fur. And your phone number, your name, their name, anything. And that will make sure that you get matched with the right pet and somebody else doesn't go home with your pet. So staying informed, there's some emergency stations right there listed. We really, really, really want you to sign up for Snoqualmie Alerts. Snohomish County Alerts is, okay, there we are. There's a pile of these, and there's some little brown envelopes that have 5 or 6 in them. And this is how to sign up for Snohomish County Alerts. Okay, they'll alert you with whether it's wind, weather, rain, any kind of flooding, or if there's an earthquake or something. They will do an early warning, but with earthquakes, it's not, they can't warn you till it happens. So, but we do have some really wonderful buoys off the coast that can give us early detection. And it talks at the very end about getting involved. Now, we as a church here can get involved in community, not only within our church, but within the city. If you live here in Arlington area or Stanwood or Marysville, get yourself involved in the council, you know, going to council meetings and bringing things up, helping educate your neighbors, and you can just do it one-on-one, but there's a chance. God bless you. There's some 3 of the out-of-area contact cards at the end of that. Okay, I want to tell you just a little bit. Okay, so we have coloring books. Again, it's a great story, even for adults, so that the kids can keep entertained, or you can have one and read it to your grandkids, even your adult children. There's these with a Sharpie. This one, the Sharpie fell off somewhere. So there's these out there that you can put up and write important messages on. There's also, this one is absolutely fabulous, Without Warning. It's about the earthquake for Washington and Oregon. And each page, it's like a cartoon book, a comic book. And so it tells it in a fun way. It's always fun to have a different way to get it. Snohomish County put out this. It's a great newspaper, has lots of information from our county exec, and it gives great information if you live in this county. We also have, like I said, we have lots of things for pets. This is how to prepare for your pets. This is the little guy about 911 do's and don'ts, but it's a great help for preparing for emergencies, even for adults. Okay, and then there's these family communication plans. This is where you're putting your out-of-area contact and school information, your neighbor information, your work information, because when push comes to shove, you probably are going to forget those numbers you have memorized. Family information, all their dates of birth and everything, medical information, and one of the things you must consider is important papers. Your important documents, and this allows you to put certain like numbers of your house insurance and stuff on that, but important document. You don't have to have the actual document, but pictures work. So do a picture of all the important insurance cards, your life insurance, your financial important, and you can burn it onto a CD, or you can just put it in a plastic folder and put it in a tote. And you can have everything in a tote ready to grab, because then you don't have to think about it when that time comes. And then, of course, talking with your family. Prepare your family for what they could potentially face. We really do want to do this as a community and not have anybody fear about it, but it's as simple as going from 0 to 1. And what can you do today? Buy a little extra groceries when you go, but also plug in at Jake's house. How can you help here? What is the plan for Jake's house when people come to the door? And maybe you can create a team or join a team that Jake's house has or that puts together for assisting those that come in an emergency. So if you can get here, then you would be able to be here to help out the church, to distribute maybe some granola bars and water. I mean, because that's just the basics of life right there. Anything else important here? Oh, so a lot of people have seen a file of life or a vial of life before. These are really important to have. If you have anybody in your family that's had surgeries, on medications, has disabilities, children, adults, you should have one for each person. Now, I recommend they just make a photocopy of this, and it fits on a 8x10. Just do this side and then do that side. And that way you have a refill for when this is so written up that you need to replace it. The important thing is it has your emergency contacts, your medical data, your blood type, medications that you take, and they recommend doing the information in pencil because, you know, if you're on a medication, society changes, you know, the doctor doesn't cover that anymore, or the insurance. So they change it up. Also, if somebody's a DNR, do not resuscitate, allergies, and your insurance. So that's really important to make sure you have. And where do you keep it? On the fridge. The emergency workers, when they arrive, that's the very first place they go, is to the fridge. One person will go to the patient, and the other one will go right to the fridge. And if it's not on the fridge, he'll look in the fridge, because the vials are something that stands up inside your fridge. So be sure and grab one of those if your family has someone in need. And there's also this flyer with people with disabilities, functioning needs, and also people with addicts.
Alrighty, we'll keep talking. I had a couple things while Kenda was speaking. When you look at, you know, what could possibly go wrong? Well, when you're sitting there in I-5 traffic for a couple hours, you start to think, well, I guess a lot could go wrong. Civil unrest, government shutting churches down. Can you ever think of that thing? Supply chain issues. I'm proud to say that we did some shopping for Jake's House Church. We do have water here, and we have spare toilet paper. All right. Come to church, get your roll of toilet paper. Keep it rolling. Economic collapse, earthquake, natural disasters. When I was talking earlier with Pastor Keith, we weren't talking like preparing for one. One is, you know, you're out without power for a couple days, you know. 10 is like, Jesus, you better be coming right now because we really need you. But what about a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6? These are some of the things we're talking about. And as Kenda is saying, being better prepared at home also means you're less or not dependent on government resources. I mean, do you really want to travel 5 or 10 miles to the FEMA station hoping that there's supplies there? Yeah. I would rather be self-reliant and have those supplies go to somebody in greater need. There's a few deeper, tougher questions we're not going to solve in the next 2 minutes, but I want to throw it out there. Where do you go if you need to abandon your home? What if your home burned down? What if it collapsed in the earthquake? What if it's just not safe to be there? Where do you go? That's a conversation to maybe have with your closest friends and family members. You know, where's our rally point with my tribe? Those people that, you know, will have your back. And have that conversation before a disaster happens, because your phone might not work. We talked about, you know, systems being overrun. But having that bigger plan in place or thought through, a conversation we've just had the very fringe beginning of a conversation of here at Jake's House Church is, what does this look like for the church? I mean, we're basically between a 0 and a 1. We got some water, we got a little bit of toilet paper, we got a little bit of food. We could reach out to somebody in need. Maybe their house is burnt down, maybe we can give them a couple things. But what does that look like for the church? And what does that look like for future small groups for the church? Perhaps if those small groups were more centered around not only ministering, but also a place for refuge. That's a huge conversation, and would need buy-in from some folks who could support that, could do that in their household, and would like to have friends come in and help out in some crisis. But those are bigger, deeper conversations, and we're just asking the question now. Back to you, Kenda.
One of the things that people say, well, what is an emergency? An emergency is anything that's an emergency to you, personally. It doesn't have to be a major earthquake. It doesn't have to be a wildfire, anything like that. An emergency could be just in your home. So, sorry about that. I have the definition right here. I wanted to read it real quick. What is an emergency? Okay, it didn't stay up. Okay, the dictionary: a serious, unexpected, often dangerous situation requiring immediate action. Your quick response in an emergency could save a life. So that's just a dictionary, and that could take your mind to all kinds of places. But we just want you to know that right now, the thing that we can do is our little bit. There's all kinds of emergencies that happen every month, every week, every year. And, we experienced a lot of that during COVID, whether it was the church shut down, no supplies in the store when you went, and shortages of the funniest things. Yeah. Oh my gosh, who would have thought, elastic. You couldn't get elastic because everybody was making masks. So if you're a sewer, you couldn't find elastic for anything. Interfacing, you couldn't find that either. And if you're sewing, that's pretty important for most things. So whatever your life is, prepare for that. It's not getting, tons of wheat and beans and all that dried stuff that takes way too much water. Now, if you love beans, buy them cooked. Get a can of beans. Keep it on your shelf. But don't get the dry stuff. It will take too much power to cook it and too much water to be able to make it edible. Okay, we're going to shut this down and open up for questions. All these things that I introduced you to are out on the table, and I will be out there and what I'm going to do is they're going to ask questions of multiples of us. If you have questions, I'm going to run and get the treats for all the people that had a star. Okay, I'll be right back.
Questions? Yes. Question over there.
If you're storing water in big bulk containers, how long can you store it for without needing to change it out, recycle it?
That's a great question, and one I've actually studied on. Depends. If you buy sealed bottled water or bottled, jugs, tap water, you fill the bucket full. So if it's tap water that you filled a bucket full, we've got some of that at home. You want to do there's a few different things you can do, but the short answer is proper amount of bleach in that water, unscented, undyed, no extra stuff in there. I don't have it memorized, but it's, you can Google it too. It's like a tablespoon, for 5 gallons, something along those lines. I've also got what they call, some of the reviews, they negatively hit it up because they just said, well, it's really expensive bleach, but it was like water stabilizer you can buy on Amazon, and a little bottle is good enough for a 55-gallon drum, and it's like $15. And I read all the reviews, and they're like, awesome, extend your water out for 5 years. They say the bleach, puts you out to about a year or two. It's probably good longer than that, but the water stabilizer says 5 years. I'd spend the $15 and take a 55-gallon drum and give me a warm fuzzy that it'll actually be good for 5 years. Because like Kenda says, you put these preps in place, you get some water, and then you leave it alone, and then it's 10 years later, and it's like, well, I wonder if I can actually drink that now. Or, yeah. But yeah, water, I think that's super duper important to know good ways to store water. Like I said, bottles. Case of bottled water from Costco, up to 5 years. I'd say 3 to 5 years.
If you're stacking it on top of each other, if you're stacking it in the closet, it starts to, enough of pressure actually starts leaching the water out of the bottom bottles. It'll just push it out through the cap. So, yeah, just don't stack it too high.
But no, that is a good way to extend the life. Is sealed bottles, like a Costco type of thing. Another environment. So environment for water, environment for food. You want to avoid extremes of hot and cold. You preferably like in a basement or someplace that stays, colder is better. Cool and dry. We don't have a subfloor basement. We have but if you'd want to stay, if you can, less than 70 or 80 degrees, and cooler like a root cellar is fine also. So 40, 50, 60, 70 degrees. Hall closet can work. Yeah, garage is generally a terrible place. It's going to get too hot in the summertime. And what it does is reduce your shelf life. So, question?
Yeah, in regards to money, a lot of people, what I've been hearing is small bills, if not change. If you roll into a gas station, if they do have gas, and all you have is 20s, 30, or a $100 bill, the guy's going to smile at you and say, sure, $100 a gallon, because he's not going to be able to break change. But if you have actual change and small bills, it's smart to have that.
Absolutely. So bigger question or bigger comment, have cash. Have more than just your debit card. Have 5s and 10s and 20s and a few hundreds. Depending on what you can do, that for some people that might be a couple $1,000s. For some people that might be $50 or $100. But not only that, and we're talking a huge, broad subject, but there's a lot of events that could be that 2, 3, 4 event, 5 event, that having an extra case of individually wrapped toilet paper could be as good as gold. Or having extra bottled water. Yes.
I was going to say one thing I do when I go grocery shopping a lot of the time, I get extra cash, and I just ask them for smaller bills, and then I stash it away.
Yeah, when the power is out, there's no cash machine. There's no gas. There's no using your debit cards. So whatever you have is what you're going to pay for that gallon of milk if it's still refrigeration. So find out which powdered milk you like the best. It's horrible, but there are some that are better than others. I mean, just buy a small box and try it, and in an emergency, you'll be happy that you had a little bit of milk. Some are pretty creamy.
How about generators? If you can afford a generator, be smart.
Absolutely.
There's battery operated or solar generators are a smarter idea than a gas or a fuel generator too.
And the solar ones you can use in the house. No, put the
What was your
you
question,
put the
Mary?
charger outside.
Hello. I just thought solar generator would have a solar panel on it. If it's in the house, it's not going to charge.
Most of them have an extendable one that you put it like out the window and it charges in the sun.
Yeah, I've got one that's got 4 panels. I can take it outside, charge it up, and then I'll bring it in the house.
Yeah. And what Brian is talking about is really important. You may think you're prepared. You have your gas-powered generator until you can't get any gas from the gas station. And a battery-operated or solar-power-operated generator is very convenient. It is expensive. They tend to be about $2,000.
They take forever to charge.
Yes and no. With one panel, one solar panel, it will take a lot longer to charge. What Brian said, he had 4 solar panels, and you can link them together, and you can up it. They also, you can be charged from your plug. So when you do have power, you would always charge it up, and then put it away someplace, and it'll stay charged for a very long time. But that would be, and it's not something that you want to operate everything, like your microwave and your oven, but it is something that could extend the life of your refrigerators, give you a place to keep your phones charged up. Some of those key things that you want to keep power to. Everything in your refrigerator is going to go bad in a day or so, a couple days. So if you can keep that going longer, you can extend that food supply out longer. So that's a good use for some kind of generator. Your diesel generator, your gas power generator can take you for a few days, but having that, again, it's an expensive option, but it can be a very useful option.
Any more questions?
Solar radios or the crank radios are also good because staying informed on what's going on is really important. Who had a star? So I have the flashlight that you can squeeze and make it charge, or batteries and make it bright. Or I have these water glasses. So, yep, just come and pick your bag, and I think we're done.
Awesome. Can we thank Kenda?
I have one question. So
Yes.
with those crank radios, what station do you listen to? Do you just go to like a normal news radio, or?
In back of the last thing on the last page of that book I was using, it tells you 3 different stations. Just inside in the back, right here, it lists the 3 stations around our area.
Perfect.
Okay.
Awesome. Can we thank John and Kenda? Yeah. We're gonna have this information again on Sunday, so we're gonna keep it all set up, and so much appreciate. Listen to this. 44 years ago, at 8:32 a.m. on a clear Sunday morning, May 18th, Mount St. Helens blew.
1 mile off the top.
And so remember what kind of, for some of us we can remember, some don't, but what kind of disaster that created, an emergency that created. And so just a reminder that, all of these things are very real. I've been talking to John and our team and Kenda that, and again, we want to be prepared. We don't want to be in fear. And so when I say this, I'm not talking about us being in fear. I'm just talking about us being wise. There's a great possibility that in the months ahead, there could be some political unrest. There could be some economic unrest. And we need to be prepared as a church family. I have a responsibility as a pastor to have us be praying and thinking about those things. And again, not to be in fear, but to be prepared. And so truly in the weeks and the months ahead, we're going to talk more about these things. And one of the most important things that we can do is to find community together where we can share resources. And so we'll be talking about that. And we'll be actually as a church putting together a plan for where there can be, we want the church to be a meeting emergency space, and how that can be something that can be very usable for, a week or so, but then after a while, then that grace runs out. And so, we, like John mentioned, different people have different homes with the ability to shelter and the ability to provide for those in need. And so, anyway, so we want to start looking at those things and talking about those things in the days ahead. So isn't this good? Is this good? Yeah. So thank you guys so much. Well, we're going to wrap things up for today. And again, Dave and myself, we want to make ourselves available for just any questions, any prayer that you might have moving forward. Thank you to all those that have been watching online. We love you and we bless you. And we encourage you to continue to use the QR codes to sign up for whether it's a group, whether it's coaching and counseling, and also whether you want prayer, prophetic prayer for your business or workspace. So God bless you guys. And are you excited to have Dave? Dave's going to minister tomorrow, and it's going to be awesome. And so thank you all very, very much. Thank you, Monica and Patty, for the lunch today. And so thank you, Tina and Megan, for the media and sound. And so thank you guys for everything. God bless you again. Dave and I will make ourselves available for a little bit. And any ministry that you'd like, we're here for you. So God bless. Thank you.